Hello, Miss Harris. This is a world since semi-ancient times, a pathology, a worth of ancient republic of intercampus systems that are worse than not acceptable for little boys and girls, for women, let alone little boys and girls, and that's because of identities of the law and everyone indistinctly and non-distinctly to each position of the ground is a victim of what knew that it would that everyone, excuse me, would have to blame the real causes of negative value nature progressions acts and natures like predicate acts on other things on others like groups like criminal enterprises, predicating them to and as roles with what only lets such roles realized originally and still since before our founders' births, this entrenched here and there. Modern nations group sick, forced not to talk about it. Identities of the law, incapable of being honest. So incapable of standing free speech with logic's actual course, which is by and as nature without criminal foreign influence, especially criminally legalized foreign influences, which are recorded criminally used, leading up to and in the Trade Center attack context, right through administrations with people from former director of the FBI down, overt criminal enterprises, private ones, name stacking, all filtered through uses of houses in my area associated with a principal sex offenders campus, associated with further then and now racketeering of other natures of crime with each age of fact cheating nature. Other methods of child abuse. There are interbranch families, longtime prosecutors, longtime standing prosecutors, more recent ones, people on off the state of Connecticut judicial branch offices, crimes with a Enzo Fienza, a whole bunch of people tied to a Dillon family with the child for untimely deaths, also criminal roles with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso. Fake news involved with extortion, torture, identity thefts, identity fraud, with various natures of overt criminal enterprises, and with the witness protection program used by the same people, former director of the FBI, federal criminal co-defendants of his, all and their family members all recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with databases tied racketeering that is also from off the ground of education on off campuses and layers, maintaining roles with its influences that kept and keeps offensive life progression. So, I mean, life progression cover up natures and needs and styles facilitated to be able to get away with it by pretending to perceive things, by having things facilitated as illusions for other natures of the same of motivations for crimes and other natures of methods by that undiscerned. Don't follow money, follow the sequence shifts. Follow what never let correlation nature by the people stacking made that self-value. Make every time someone says that we're free, that is self-valued. No, that this is an organized crime method with a human fact cheating their offensive evidence fabrication, racketeering when they use color, especially regarding prosecutors, recorded victims, but recorded victim predators since founding, pounding drums. It is recorded, especially, that not one woman, not one man has been able to counter the nature of organized crime that women fight to use as a weapon because everyone doesn't know how to fight. Specifically, too, the identities of the branches individually grouped and together, not knowing how to fight. Like, for example, there are proofs, real or made up, that the witch trials, it was because this organized crime method by the devil as an organized crime method, as recorded methods bonded. Let's see suits and ties and zoning laws recorded involved with the fact cheating nature, torture, slavery, identity thefts against our founders, database crime rules for computers, before our founders were born this pathology of infrastructure. We have how George Washington and our founders had to leave overt slavery in the North right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War, having to meet right in my town, left out. And we have associated with that the same method of organized crime method slash S bonded then. And now we have a whole bunch of people on Church Street in Old Weathersfield at the corner. That's where and businesses around the corners, people associated with the Webb house, Webb, and now it's the Webb slash Stevens house museum. That's where George Washington had to come to meet. Even with the French general, he could only semi-counter extort that which was roles with fact-cheating nature slavery against everyone here, database relationships, including against color in the North, right? And there's no words. We have that glorified other, the roles of everyone. Those aren't our founders, but completely. Those are everyone was tools, including our founders with their identity stolen. They only put up the surface of value of the Constitution, left us to demonstrate with free speech we never had, all the sub rosa legal treatments, all the roles with the branches of government individually grouped in together, states and areas they can't defend themselves, and legal processes. They're forging and switching names. A whole bunch of women judges, crimes with the principal child sex offenders campus further. Whole bunch of ways this is recorded, demonstrated, and confessed. Justice Department, Pentagon racketeering, Trade Center racketeering roles. And then with the counters to it, the investigators, crimes with the sensibilities, uses of the sensibilities of victims. They're reporting they don't want to report on the names of killers. They don't want to, but that's evidence that they're trying to present that it's glorifying people. So we have physical delusions with the news, but they're also recorded with all kinds of racketeering. This is also a method with their sources retired and standing into branch military are maintained effectively, recorded how it demonstrated how maintained criminally foreign influence. There are people that that they use when branches of government influence little kids of each age to go up and say often loaded statements and confessions about their relationships to other people. This is tied to an organized crime method that's using databases through time criminally, and it's from off the ground the camp of education's value ties to our quality of fact cheaping nature volume before and beyond it being a criminal and sexist nature. Only let her voice know, because that's exploited. That maintains self value. So they say how you're supposed to treat each age, but they're preventing this unequally, distinctly, and non-distinctly internatures of cities by the same ones, which is a whole bunch of names, but it's a minority involved with the actual phenomena as victim predators, though, as victims for what is forgiveness, so everyone can agree to allow someone who's with no agenda to sustain how people who are saying other people are good or bad are involved with racketeering that is preventing positive and negative from its our course, which is identity's complete semi and simultaneous nature relationship to itself, which is the Trinity's identity of relationship to itself bonded. This is science, but we're not having free speech too because there are recorded criminal uses of the identity of the ground. Again, its value relationship to our quality of fact cheap nature volume from before formal education. This is already divided Native Americans, knowing that they were going to force them only capable of blaming the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures like wrongdoers, wrongdoing, mass criminal insidiousness natures, blaming predicate acts on the wrong things, others. But in other words, even when they're right, so they can't discern it. They say, "Oh, it's England. England owned this colony." England had no identity there, but one worse than extorted too. Each position of the human fact treatment nature. Right where we need other, we have people jump in oh, dictator, oh, communism, capitalism, socialism. And they never allowed the criminal insidious nature, shared fake sides of correlation nature demonstrated. They're not letting free speech unless it's roles with identities of the law recorded only capable of of pretending to perceive things, of valuing them facilitated, already having been valued, blamed on other things, others themselves, the real causes of them, like shootings. We have all kinds of natures of methods, natures of motivations and roles with gun crimes that are facilitated. This is a breaching organized crime method inseparable from all topics in the news. This is about the identity the scientists share is inseparable from all topics, and as the identity that is the answer to all questions, which is its identity of relationship to itself, and is the value of that. So it is the course of identity's nature surging through all things, box things, forever nature's course. Only the extent of it is debatable. And see, but we have the sciences not by accident, self-valued offensively with physical delusions and with criminal foreign influences. All victims, but all victim predators by that, because that is tied to various natures of courts, on off state connected judicial branch offices associated with people with crimes with the body dumping spots, associated with Enzo Faenza, WFSB fake crime news, with former director of the FBI down, other agencies and their family members, other FBI and their family members, their lovers, reported, confessed, and demonstrated involved with this through time criminally. All kinds of racketeering with people from private schools that are facilitated to collusion with crimes with people that are in the same grade, but they don't even know each other, but others pretended on paper. The courts are attaching a bunch of people with New Britain Superior Court. Other courts are involved with attaching people to fake locations through time, fake recorded things by police forms, and then they put that into databases. And see, they prevent writing since I'm a kid, since other people are kids, and they pretend other by just putting a charge and demonstrating, confessing, and recording that they have all kinds of falsified police reports and fake things they stack into databases and crime methods stacking. You know, they have this is how they keep the branches, criminally foreign influence, individually grouped and together. The motivations of women, private and interbranch, with child offenders right through administrations is tied to this. Their motivations are not sexual, including the men. Like the principal sex offender, he recorded there are campus. There are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated further involved with that worse than he was arrested for reportedly, and put in that jail with the same doctors and police forms recorded crimes with that campus and with Newtown, Sandy Hook campuses since before that. Same ones on and off state Connecticut judicial branch offices, on and off the state prison offices, on and off houses next to them. Associated federal crimes with this Enzo Faenza, also with fake news, with the locations of the bodies dumping spot of Billy Grasso. A whole bunch of people on and off Fox Connecticut location, Connecticut news involved with them with racketeering with various natures of criminal enterprises. Again, with a witness protection program tied to my area. So I try not. I learned about an 18th century poem warns not to get sucked into the what the siren says. But see, each side is missing too. I'm not missing. You know, I know that women have. In other words, we have to admit the value nature systems that is not abridged. Its identity of relationship to why we are individual nature of value group and species bond. Group divided, no species bond, no. Invisible but still discernible. This simultaneous nature and demonstration to us as the identity of value we are simultaneously. Again, as the identity of positive as criminal insidious nature, as nature of logic, therefore that has to protract, seeking while being temporary positive, needing to make positive, sustain positive out of negative, but now as criminal insidious nature of positive. So distinctly from our nature with no criminal foreign influences, especially criminally legalized ones, left by our founders to demonstrate are involved with their fact-cheating nature, torture, slavery, methods preventing free speech, and methods pretending other the whole time, and methods forcing roles with organized crime racketeering with databases to keep the future also facilitated, self-valuing racketeering roles with the past, facilitated to it, and were methodically maintained. It's just because that's the method that maintains, it's already propagated to it in layers where everyone already can't stand actual science with sequence true, and what is positive always onto, and has the value of the order to the finite, active and progressive at the same time, which is to that sequence nature also a little bit beyond that, simultaneously while has our value here. This is why we have to know the difference between positive as criminal insidious nature and positive without being criminal insidious nature. This is why we have to understand that, and how racism is being used with all values for a breaching organized crime method, a breaking method, a slavery method that never went away. Hear many pray. And see, the president has not been allowed. See, they're recorded and confessed and demonstrated interbranch, retired and standing uses of the sensibilities to those. Everyone relies on other experts. Everyone relies on, with this databases were so involved with other methods and natures of child abuse that are simultaneously within as the organized crime method actually recorded consciously, simultaneously against each age of fact treatment nature, simultaneously sickly, to keep how simultaneously sickly non-distinctly from being discerned. The same way, sickly non-distinctly, sickly, Hartford is a victim of the same organized crime racketeering method, and members of it rolls with it, also from abroad, but in layers, in private shared policing, private overt criminal enterprises. Overt criminal enterprises also, known. Military, foreign, and domestic. Roles with identity, the ground location, ship shared policing that are used to keep collusion with the campuses database used criminally, with all private databases used criminally. Sensibilities tied to those clicks. It maintains states and areas criminally foreign influence forgivenesses for this. So we could have free speech of equality of fact shaping nature that demonstrates everyone saying, "Oh, this person is good, this person is bad," is all influenced, recorded by a force sustained, not let told. These are criminal uses of all this. These people are trade center predicate acts with the investigators of it. Sandy Hook, other shootings in other states all have ties to the same people's uses of of houses in my area. They need me to get mad and pretend I'm mad at those people. That's recorded too. They need to pretend people, they need to force, they're lying about people's behavior. They're forging names, switching names. There are all kinds of drugs racketeering roles with the branches individually grouped and together, because they also use this, because then they have statutes that say they could do that for certain reasons. But they're also consciously having criminally been exploiting, hiding exceptions of what statutes say. And many pray. CNN did good reporting, showed a statute that said they have the right to get away with certain type of lies and crimes. See, but they're leaving out the perjury racketeering recorded. They're leaving out the Trade Center Predicate Act rules recorded. They're leaving out perjury, racketeering, interbranch, individually grouped and together recorded. How motivated actually recorded. How they're needing to hide lie progressions and they're actually recorded natures interbranch now. Their whole family members, crime, racketeering with child offenders, right through administrations, drug crimes, criminal uses of untimely deaths that reveal ties between the untimely deaths and the news racketeering roles with extortion, identity thefts, identity fraud, like with a whole bunch of people associated with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso and of other Italian gangs and Latin gangs involved with prison cliques, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved foreign and domestic military, foreign and domestic private overt criminal enterprises, all associated with that. DACA was used for this, but this came since before our founders' births. This keeps all the sources. This keeps the branches individually grouped together, criminally and foreign influenced, and you need to hide lie progressions from that. But at the same time, the same thing that kept that happening kept it through what is also each age of fact, human nature roles from off campuses, on off campuses, even down to the houses on the corners, even down the roles with entrenched Russians, Americans, all these nations needed to fear each other, rightfully, because we're in an identity of negative value nature progression. See, but per their roles as victim predators through criminally foreign influence sciences, they can't even fathom what to say and what to reveal that reveals this not needed. In Palestine, Israel, we need to have drawn by the Palestinians and using water what they couldn't fathom affording. And with water, knowing this identity of relationship to itself that science is, needs it for evolutions, fruits and gifts, and revelations. It needs it to be an identity of relationship to the ground and water and things like that means to it the means to the life with it. The life inside needs it too. Guys don't know the whole, all the depths, all the soils, even everything tactically denatured. This whole can't be fathomed because they need. It's a commodity. The negative value nature progressions, action nature is blamed on other things, others themselves, per the organized crime method that came from semi-ancient times, since before modern religions that fight about each other because they're not letting demonstrated how the beginning of the books are about this organized crime, about the identity the sciences share. The first part of the Quran, first part of the Old Testament, now that free speech. People with physical delusions about, we have the formal defenses, intercampus systems, interformal appreciations of religion used offensively out of sequence to hide their sequence shifting styles of logic, premise treatment, quality natures. Actually recorded nature. See criminal and serious nature. See correlation nature is a trinity and needs free speech. WFSB stole my identity to fake words. They have recorded federal crimes with a whole bunch of people associated with former director of the FBI and federal criminals that are criminally involved with the houses in my area. Their criminal uses of the witness protection for a program and their crime acts roles then and further with the principal sex offenders campus and their roles with their kids into branch a whole bunch of prosecutors, long time standing and less, a whole bunch of judges, retired and standing, forging names, switching name roles, even women judges, crimes with where they first forced the principal sex offender not told on, with other natures of racketeering, also with a Joshua Julian and a Joshua Stryker, also with federal crimes on off Trinity College, on off CCSU, deans involved, even their family members with drug crime, racketeering, with their family members, doctors and stuff like that. The family member doctors of fire departments, They have patients and prisoners, and they have, I'm not a patient or a prisoner. We have people that force me in for a mental diagnosis a mental evaluation 3 times because there are people speaking through others with a Dillon family through time, involved with a whole bunch of natures of child abuses, a whole bunch of natures of elderly abuses, whole bunch of attaching me and each age of factory to sustain crimes, criminal uses of undercover of the family members interbranch of their roles, knowing say we don't have a big the world is small, same time is big, but they're exploiting what is everywhere at once. This identity, they're in other words, they're using the sensibilities of people. We have experts on logic that are criminally foreign influence, racketeering, drugging people, pretending they have mental diagnosis, criminal. They're with physical delusions and with that racketeering roles and with the uses of their life progressions from that and how they were motivated before that to their federal crimes with body dumping spots like the serial killer, especially if made up because they're federal crimes with a whole bunch of people at that location already that were intercampuses connected, federal crimes with databases, crime roles with foreign and domestic military, with predicate acts like mail crimes, forging names, switching names, all facilitated to uses of houses in my area for that. And then they'd stack names. That's what happens when you have federal criminals associated with that are connected between each of the campuses you went to. Now they need to have everyone. When I talk, I had nothing to do with these people. They attached me and other kids through location, through time. See, these are how judges are involved crimes, and other branches of government and military involved crimes, religious spots involved crimes and crime methods, even coaches. They're using drugs for other natures of crimes. They're using the identities of the people supposed to be against that, the police form. But because they have everyone, this mastered them already. Lipogression machines, standing propagated, self-valued, self-cultivated, self-cultivating criminal insidious nature machine. Modern nations, the identity of negative value nature progression. So we have election racketeering only being capable because we don't have free speech. We have opinion natures that are all ideologues and or pretending other people are. They're with physical delusions and with qualities of convictions that are offensively aggressive and sequence shifting racketeering. Like, for example, Facebook was involved with election crimes. These are also people crimes with Russians involved with the child sex offenders in various natures of courts and their family members and the family members of people that work for the courts and the private too. All involved crimes with overt criminal enterprises recorded how kept needing to hide the same sequence shifts, finite active and progressive lies and identity theft and identity fraud and works, torture rules, free speech theft rules offensively, crime methods, pretending people had conversations, forging names, switching names, whole bunch of people in and tied to a Brendan Leahy family and with a whole bunch of fire department families, retired and standing, involved federal crimes, former director of the FBI down with overt criminal enterprises, criminal uses of the other FBI and police forms, state police, crimes with them, with the transition from ALCA to RICO, criminal uses of Connecticut forensics labs and locations and on and off campuses like UConn. We have the training of, we have mental health originally instilled criminally foreign influence delusions raw. See, we have to have the law. We have to have the identity the science is shared demonstrated. We have to demonstrate how psychology has been furthering racketeering associated with logic, whereas and how they are recorded standing criminal insidious natures of positive, criminally foreign influence and worse. We must all rehearse. Please free speech in the presidents, because not one chief had president. Why one president had free speech? and uses of comparison, women and men, that can't defend that, and us from this nature that originally still facilitated and maintained self-cultivated, self-valued. Our legal nature is blaming other groups, making group mistreatments with overt criminal enterprises that they are the furtherance of. They can't see because it's also facilitated. That was facilitated by what maintains it, already maintained it originally, and still facilitated with everyone in layers juxtaposed. That's why and how we have Fox Connecticut News, crimes with the Los Solitos, various natures of Italian criminal enterprises, other nations' criminal enterprises, Russian families associated with them, with fire departments and with Hartford Hospital, predicate acts with them, forging names, switching names, various natures of courts crimes with them. These are Justice Department, Pentagon crimes, intermilitary, foreign, and domestic. Uses of deans and their family members criminally. Uses, they're also. This is also because they stack. They force you. They pretend not to understand what you say if you pick one of those crimes, and they force you to pick one. These are also judges forging names and switching names simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly, with states' attorneys doing the same thing, while they juxtaposed confessions about this, recorded federal crimes with a whole bunch of police forms from a whole bunch of cities involved with a whole bunch of racketeering with the kids, interstates. These are people Justice Department Trade Center collects way worse. A whole bunch of people associated with the Morrow family, Kerr family, and other spellings of the name, recorded and confessed. Uses of New Britain Superior Court's Facebook pages with child sex offenders. Uses of IT departments with it. They're offensively pretending to be against certain types of behavior and types of speech, because those are people associated already since before I ever went on Facebook with these racketeering acts roles. Then with the people into branch that criminally active with child sex offenders and pretending passions and emotions against me, so they could pretend to imply things because they're already involved with attaching me to fake conversations with evidences racketeering since they were kids, interbranch. Allah forbids, and here and there, the Trinity. These are fake. ISIS is in collusion with the natures of organized crime over here, where they kept originally still nations grouped, suits and ties, racketeering together, uses of identity of the ground, all gathered around. So they're the people around on a whole bunch of people from CCSU are from my town are interbranch facilitated fake conversations with me, fake words, fake sequences. They need people to stay fights and worse. I need to get because they're leaving out, they're preventing mandated law. The judges, they're caught cold with child offenders, with behavior crimes. Of course, you're supposed to tell a little kid, "Oh, yeah, that's great," but see, they're leaving out exceptions. Real fast, you should be able to counter child abuses. See, but if they're real fast countering who tries to tell when they're caught. They're recorded involved with this originally still right through generations. They used to beat the kids and stuff like that. You can't defend your logic. It's a fake. That's why it needs to pretend things. And when there are we're now there are exceptions recorded that is already anticipated, and there is racketeering. This is a fact cheap in nature racketeering connected. So we have Weathersfield election. We have mayors retired and standing also involved with this. We have other natures of politicians in their police forms and families will also involved with this. If they want forgiveness, they needed to give it for people, because these are involved racketeering already with cases through time, or worse than most criminals that go in their courts every day, including innocent people recorded, set up to used as tools to hide their life progressions. They're actually recorded natures to keep people hurt offensively. Okay, it's quality of fact, cheaping nature that can't defend that and stand correlation nature's identities discernment.